Good evening, everyone. This is Cosby the Caterpillar, and I'm going to teach you today how to play cards by yourself. It's a little bit complicated, so listen carefully here. Alright, well, start out with the shuffle deck. And then what you do is you draw 5 cards for each player. Now, since you're playing against yourself, that means you draw 5 cards for the other side. That's for yourself. Like that. Then what I want you to do is go through the pairs like you would. Beginning of a 2-player game, 3-player game, etc. You do is, I don't have any pairs. I have an 8, a 5, a king, an 8, and a 3. So I don't have any pairs I can take out. Now, what I do is I look at these cards right here. Now, it turns out, oh, look at this. Got a pair of 6s, got a pair of 8s. 1 card left over. Now, it doesn't matter if I know that he has 2 8s and 2 6s because they're pairs and they're set out anyway, so that doesn't make any difference. But he has a 6, and I do it right there, I'm going to know he has a 6. So what I'm going to do is replace the card. Like that. Now I don't know what card it is. It's not the same card as before. We know it's not exact, but it's pretty close. So don't worry. It is a little bit different than 2-player games. I thought it would be a little bit more complicated. So, alright, now gameplay. Here's how it works. Now I'm going to ask for a king. Now remember, I don't know what card he has because I know he had a 6 because I was checking for pairs, but now I switched the card, so now I don't know what card he has. It could be a 6, it could not be. So I asked for a king. Got any kings? Flip the card over? No, I don't. It's a 4. So I go fish, right? And then, of course, I have to replace the 4. Because I know he doesn't have a king, but I don't know that he had a 4. So, gotta replace the card there. Okay, now he only has 1 card, so it's not like, but even if he had 10 cards, what you do is you pick one here. In fact, let me set a few more cards out for example. What I do is I pick a card. I'm going to do this one since these are just examples, but I need 5 cards. I pick a random card, this. Let me put these example cards back. And it's like I'm saying, hey, you got one of these? A jack. It turns out I have a jack. Now, if you're playing the short version, that means the game's over if he's out of cards. But in this version, when you're out, you receive 5 more cards. Gotta check for pairs. And I got a pair of 2s. And that's it. Now, gotta replace those 3 cards. Because I didn't know he had them, so I gotta replace those. Okay, now since he got a pair, it's his turn again. Let me check some real quick. Okay, good. Alright, so it's his turn again. This time, it's like, hey, you got one of these. Now, there are 3 cards. Let's pick a random card. You got one of these, a 2. No, I do not have a 2, so go fish. Now, you're probably thinking that because I drew that 2 card, that I would have to put it back in the deck and replace it. Actually, I don't have to do that. Because think about it. If you're playing a 2-player game of cards, or this actually works no matter how many players you have. But let's say the player across the table says, hey, you got any 6s? You don't have to replace the card here because even in a 2-player game, if he says you have any 6s, then you know that he has a 6, right? Same thing here. So you don't have to replace the card there. See that? So when it's not your turn, it's a little confusing, but when it's not your turn, you don't have to replace any cards, pretty much. That makes it easy. Now it's my turn. I don't have any pairs, so let me go again. You got any A's? It's a Q. No, I don't have it. And just keep going until you have an A. Now let's say I have these 4 cards. First card I happen to draw was an A. I just take the card and I don't even bother flipping over the rest of the cards. Got a queen? No. 9. A 2. And another 2. But wait. Got a pair of 2s. You can set those aside. And gotta go fish because I didn't have what I asked for. And basically that is how you play 1-player Go Fish. Just remember to replace the cards when it's your turn, and when it's his turn, there's actually no need to replace any cards. Okay. Now one last thing I have to tell you about before I end this video. Okay, you know that rule where you get what you ask for? Like, you know that rule, like, let's say I ask for a 3. Right there. Let's say I say, hey, got any 3s? And he says, no, go fish. So I go fish, I draw a card, and it happens to be a 3. That's a 6, but I'm just demonstrating here. So I say, got any 3s? Have to go fish. I got a 3. I got what I asked for. You know that rule? That actually doesn't work in one-player game cards. Because think about it. If you draw a card for the player by himself, like let's say, like, hey, got one of these, go fish. Then you can't just, you don't know what he had. Meaning you don't know whether he got what he asked for or not. And so it wouldn't be fair for him to get what he asked for and not go again, and then for you to get what you asked for and go again, unless you want to be easier on yourself. Or what you could do is look at the card that he drew, a queen. Now, queen, he did not ask for a queen, and put a card back, assuming that it was not a 3, a little bit like that. But just to make it simpler, you can just eliminate that rule entirely. Now, like I just explained a second ago, let me explain it in a little bit of a shorter way. There is a way to add in that rule, kind of, but I don't really like to do it because it's a lot more complicated. So let's say he asked for a 2. Like, I draw a card here. A 9. Go fish. That's a 7, which is not a 9. But, of course, since I saw it 7, I have to replace it. Now, I don't know what card this is. It could be a 9, but because we drew out 7, we know that it's not a 9. You see how that works there? So you could do that, but I just basically like to just get rid of that rule entirely. You can do whatever you want for that, basically. If you don't want to put it in, then you don't have to put it in, but in case you want to put it in, that's how you do it right there, pretty much. And then just keep going, just keep repeating the process. Your turn, his turn, your turn, if you get it right. And then just keep going, and after that, whoever has the most pairs wins. And that is how you play One Player Go Fish. So, thank you for watching, and maybe I'll show you some more card tricks coming up here in the future. Good night, folks.